If a man could so control his own imagination that he influences your behavior, and you think that you initiate what you do, when it was the man in control of his own imagination that did it, then we understand what the poet meant. All things by a law divine in one another's being mingled. I see you, you see me. Were we not intermingled, I couldn't perceive you. If I couldn't penetrate your brain, and you couldn't penetrate mine, you couldn't perceive me. So all things by a law divine in one another's being mingled. The man who is in control of his own imagination, penetrating the whole vast world in which he is involved, could influence the world. So that is the secret. I know in my own case, sitting in New York City in my apartment, with the urge to comfort my sister 2,000 miles away across water. Simply stretched out on my bed, I left the living room, went to my room, closed the door, and asked my wife not to disturb me. And in that interval, I assumed I was in Barbados and on the bed where her son was dying of cancer. There was no hope of recovery. He was riddled at the age of 17 with cancer. And to comfort her, I assumed I was her son. And actually felt myself to be there. And I imagined that I saw my sister Daphne come through the door and look, and she saw her brother Neville rather than her son Bill. And she came over. She looked at me. I saw, and then I awoke back in New York City. 8 days later, this is before we had such a thing as airmail. It came by slow freight. And so 8 days later, I got a letter from my sister Daphne. She said, Neville, I don't understand it. And she dated the letter. It was the day that I did what I've just told you. But I went to the room to see Billy. As I entered the room, it was you. I came over, and I looked at what should be Billy, and I'm looking at you. I rubbed my eyes. I did everything to bring about the normal vision, and I couldn't see my son Bill. I am only seeing my brother Neville, and I couldn't understand it. Now she began to feel through the superstitions of the world, because Billy was dying of cancer, the next one to go would be her brother Neville. That's how she interpreted it. She didn't know what I was doing in New York City. What I did not help. He died. He died of cancer. But I succeeded in projecting myself 2,000 miles away under the bed I knew so well. It was my father's room. It was my father and mother's bedroom. And there I knew that that's where Billy was sleeping. And I assumed I was on that bed, and I was actually in the place of Billy. So when my sister saw me, she would be encouraged to have faith, to have hope. But she was so disturbed because no matter what she did, she rubbed her eyes, closed them, opened them, closed them, opened them, and she is still seeing Neville, and she can't see her son. Now when you hear these stories, from those who are not lying to you, you may not understand it, and reason will deny it. Well, if you have an experience, even though reason denies it, you can't deny the experience. My sister cannot deny what she actually experienced. And I could not deny what I did. Because when I came out that night, into the living room, a friend called at the cocktail hour, and she said, Neville, you always seem so light and gay. And tonight you seem so heavy of spirit. I told her what I'd just done. Well, 8 days later, when the letter came, I gave it to that same woman who was home again around the cocktail hour and showed her what my sister had written. So here my wife and my friend were witnesses to what I told them 8 days in advance I had done. Then came the letter from my sister asking for some explanation of it. So I tell you, I know from experience that imagining creates reality. On this level, we're only learning. We're all students. We are simply in kindergarten, and we go berserk as Rod Serling did. So he made a fortune writing this story, and it's still being shown all over on TV. And he will still get his residuals, and he'll take his residuals and pile it into some maybe IBM stock or some other kind of stock. He hasn't given it away. He'll write more nonsense, for it's all nonsense. But he doesn't realize what he's piling up for himself. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. As a man sows, so shall he reap. You see yonder fields? The sesamum was sesamum, and the corn was corn. The silence and the darkness knew, and so is a man's fate born. So let no one think he's getting away with anything. So you misuse your talent, and you reap seeming rewards today in dollars and cents. Tomorrow you will reap it in another kind of payment. Another kind of payment tomorrow. And dollars and cents cannot buy it. Dollars and cents cannot free you from it either. You'll go through the experience of having misused the talent that you received. And the talent is the gift of God himself. God actually became man, that man may become God. So this is the law by which we live. Learn to use your imagination lovingly on behalf of everyone in this world, because you're going to reap the fruit of it. Whether you use it lovingly or unlovingly, you're going to reap the fruit of it. So I say to you tonight, God is not apart from man. He is never, not in eternity, so far off as even to be near, because nearness implies separation. That statement from the 17th chapter of Acts would imply separation. He is not even separated. He can't even be near you, because he is your own I. When you say I, that is God. When you say I am, that's God. His name forever and forever. And there is no other God. The minute you say thou, that's a false God. If you address him as you, that's a false God. The only God is I am. That is my name forever. And by this name I must be known throughout all generations. So do not misuse it. Now you can set yourself a goal. Any goal. And if you really know exactly what things would be like if you had realized it, and then enter into that state, may I tell you, it will become to you objective. At the moment it seems only a shadow. Just a shadow. Because you have not entered into the sketch. When you enter into the sketch takes on a cubic reality and becomes objective to you. Not to another, but to you. Now leave it alone. In time, in its good time, it will flower and become what the world calls an objective reality. It was real the very moment you entered it, because you are the reality. All things exist in the human imagination, but all things. You name it, it exists in you. But it exists in you only as a shadow. It's shadowy. But if you enter into the so-called shadow and clothe yourself with it, it ceases to be a sketch and it becomes a cubic reality, just like this room. At this moment, your home you know so well is only a shadow. And this room that you do not know very well, it seems so real because you are in it. Now, everything in this world, so-called natural effects, every natural effect has an imaginal cause and not a natural. A natural cause only seems. It is a delusion of the fading memory. Our memories, yes, it's good, it's adequate for sameness, but it's not perfect. I'll show you. When you go home tonight, take an ordinary, a magazine, take the cover, a landscape, or a postcard, and look at it and know exactly what you're doing. You're looking at the postcard. Try to memorize it. Spend as much time as you want on it. Spend an hour if you want. Try to memorize that card. And you think you know it, all right, you know it. Now turn it over and try to reconstruct it from your memory of it. And be honest with yourself and see how far you are from what you were observing. Yet when you turn it over, your memory picture of it is good enough for sameness. You know it's the same card because it is good enough, but it's not good enough for the accurate picture. So our memory is all right. It's good enough for the call to sameness. And so that's why man does not remember what he has imagined. He forgets what he's imagined, he sets it in motion. And when it confronts him as his harvest, he denies he had anything to do with it. He can't remember what he did. Now, every imaginative man in this world is forever casting, I would say, glamours and influencing the entire world of the passive, unimaginative. They're forever falling under the influence of those who are vivid in their imagination. They are reaping it, and you'll understand the cry on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. For some vivid imagination has compelled them to act as they act. So forgive them, the actors. Any condemnation goes to the author, not the actor. Man condemns the actor in the drama, when really, if there's any condemnation, it is really the author, not the actor. And the author of the play is God, for God is your own wonderful human imagination. So your own wonderful human imagination is God. And that God is creating all the phenomena of the world. As Disraeli said, man is not the creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of men. We are creating them. We are not the victims of circumstances. We are creating circumstances. Man is not the creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of men. And buried in every man is God. And in each man, he has to awaken. And when he awakens, he is God. But before he awakens, oh, does he go amok. Does he make mistakes, these horrible mistakes of the world. But the day will come, he will completely awaken within man. And when he does, he'll be governed by love, and nothing but love. Until he is completely governed by love, what horrors we create in this world. So the whole vast objective world is created by the imaginal act of men. Everything now proven in the world was once only imagined. I don't care what it is. The simplest little thing, the chair, the dress you wear, the hat, the house, everything was only imagined and then executed. It began all in the imagination of man. So everything that is in this world is nothing more than the imaginal act of men pushed out, good, bad, or indifferent. So tonight, you take me seriously and know that you and you alone are responsible for the phenomena in your world. If you're passive and not alert, you can be influenced because all things by a law divine in one another being mingled. But it's still the one being. You and I hope, are beyond such things. But there are unnumbered people who are not, and they will simply be influenced by the powerful imagination of a writer, a very successful writer, who, if tonight he was invited by some university to speak on the art of writing, could demand maybe $2,000, $3,000 for his appearance. And he knows nothing concerning the story of the Bible, but nothing. Had he known it, he would not have done it. So you know it, and he doesn't. So he makes his 3,000 if he wants to take it. He doesn't have to take it. He has so much money, he doesn't need it. But you have what he doesn't have. You have awakened to the point of knowing how to use your imagination lovingly on behalf of others. So this is the law of Scripture. When we speak of the law and the promise, this is the law, that your imaginal acts are creating facts in this world. Imagining creates reality. So watch carefully what you are imagining when you return tonight and you're about to go to sleep. See that your mind is filled with lovely things, imaginal things, and drop off into that state. Do not let the sun go down upon your anger. Actually resolve it within yourself and speak as though things were as you would like them to be, and make them lovely, make them altogether marvelous in your world. I tell it for your own good, because in the not distant future, not only the little crowd here, but the whole vast world will have departed. Those who are now claiming themselves to be another generation and demanding special service, there will, in the not distant future, be old people who will vanish from this world. It's time that we all woke up and catch on to what really is causing the phenomenon of the world. And the phenomenon of the world is caused by the imaginal acts of men. So you take it seriously, and do not let one day come to its end without revising and changing the imaginal acts of the day, and make it conform to your dream, to your ideal, and live in it just as though it were true. For I am telling you from my own experience, the day will come you will sit and you will think of something that isn't present. The world calls that imagination. If you see something that is present, they call that sense perceived. That's real. You think of something that is not present, they call that imagination. But you will know how to enter that which is not present to your senses. And your entrance into it will give it cubic reality. And it will be just as real as the room in which you are seated. It will become objective to you. The whole vast world is just like that. But that will be transcended by the being that is going to be awakened within you. For that being who awakes within you is God himself. This is God keyed low to the human mind. And when he awakes, it is God at intensity. And there is nothing that is absent, for he is omnipresent. So he views everything from where he is. He doesn't think of, because he's omnipresent. And being omnipresent, he sees every being as they are. And they are not what they appear to be outwardly to the world of sense. They are what they are in heart. He sees exactly what they are thinking, what they are feeling, what they are plotting, what they are planning. He sees all the intentions of the heart. And so, now you'll realize, if you take it seriously, what is in store for all of us. The end is God. The origin of all was God. In the interval, we go berserk. We run amok. But if you know what you could do, start doing it. Don't wait. You can be the man, you can be the woman that you would like to be. But wanting it is not going to do it. You must be it. You can't just say, I would like to be it. You must assume that you are it, and seek in the assumption that you are it. For the assumption, though at the moment denied by your senses, denied by everything round about you, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So you dare to assume that you are the man, the woman that you want to be. And day after day, live in that assumption as though it were true. And that assumption will become a reality in your world. Even if you go hungry, doesn't matter. No matter what happens, go hungry. But persist in the assumption. And that assumption will objectify itself and become a reality in your world. Do not fall by the wayside for any little thing on the side. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am when I get your letters, where in your dreams you are teaching the law of imagination. When someone raises your race, will in a dream have an argument, say, with a priest or a rabbi or a minister, and you are instructing them and telling them. Now a dream, you know, is egocentric. It's yourself pushed out. But yet here you are, you're actually taking the symbols of authority and simply bringing them down to a certain level. They're no longer your authority. You are instructing now and telling them, which is yourself, made visible, what you have discovered concerning the cause of the phenomena of life. And when you have these dreams and you share them with them, you tell them, as you do, I can't tell you my thrill. Everyone will one day awaken. And when he awakens in the only place where God ever awakens. He awakens in the skull of man, in Golgotha, the human skull. And when he awakens, he comes out of that skull, and it is God that is born from above. But tonight, I want it to be only on this level, the level of, the law, where man, if he is in control of his own imagination, is in control of the phenomena of his life. He is not a victim of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of himself. He creates them if he knows what he is doing. If he doesn't know what he is doing, and he is passive in this world, he can be influenced by the imagination of one who is in control of his imagination, though he doesn't know what he's doing, like Sterling doesn't know. Had he known, he wouldn't have done it. And to this day, he doesn't know. He only regrets what he did. But he doesn't know that his imagining is creating reality. He sees the evidence before him and still doesn't know it. I tell you, imagination creates reality. So be careful what you imagine, because you are setting in motion. And because all things by a law divine in one another's being mingled, you are influencing everyone, even though they do not see your picture or read your book. As Yeats again said, having seen the operation of this law, we should never be certain it was not some woman treading in the winepress who started that subtle change in men's minds, or that the passion because of which so many countries were given to the sword did not begin in the mind of some shepherd boy, lighting up his eyes for a moment before it ran upon its way. Who knows who this night feels neglected, feels hurt, feels wrongfully accused, and who is sitting alone and treading in the winepress, who tomorrow will influence some catastrophe. Some shepherd boy dreaming of some heroic future and thinking only in terms of war that could bring him the crown of a hero. And he, while tending his sheep, he is simply dreaming of being a hero and using his talent, which is God, using his imagination in some destructive manner, even though he tends the sheep. So I say to everyone, know what you are doing every moment of time, because your imagining is creating reality. Now let us go into the silence.
Welcome to How to Manifest Anything YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe.